what was in the bill that they voted on. They knew that there were some fairly severe additions to how government can interfere in people's lives. I don't think Congress realized the star chamber aspects, and the star chamber is an old term, but mainly it means that there can be secret court sessions, and people can be jailed and kept away from their families. One of the things that most Americans take for granted is that if you get thrown in jail, you at least get one phone call that you can make to your family, to a bail bondsman, to somebody who can maybe get you out of jail or at least come visit you. But Star Chamber proceedings are now allowed in certain circumstances, and this was a major departure from the way laws are normally enforced in the country. The argument was that the bill had to be passed to break down barriers, legal barriers that existed that prevented the FBI and the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency and the various other intelligence agencies around the country from communicating with each other. That's a phony argument. It didn't exist. It's true, there was a legal opinion that was written sometime in the 90s, I think, or maybe early 2000, where some lawyer said, or actually advised one of the agencies, don't let any other agency know that. That was a bad legal opinion, and it should not have been allowed to go forward. There was a lot of information that we knew, or some aspects of the government knew about Muhammad Atta and some of these other individuals, and it was just not passed around to the agencies that could have done something about it.
Jim, take me one day before 9/11. Would this law have passed?
Oh.
Before 9/11?
No, of course not. This law, the law that we have, this Patriot Act, only passed because of it would have, to members of Congress, they did not want to go back and face an electorate who might accuse them of being unpatriotic. In fact, the idea of calling it the Patriot Act is almost a cinch that you got to vote for it.
How can they pass a law when many of the congressmen have not even read it?
That's the whole point.
45 days and they did not even read it. They just go and sign the bill.
But they fear an electorate that will accuse them of being unpatriotic. This really goes back to something that back to the 50s, when Joe McCarthy and the House Un-American Activities Committee were running roughshod over people's rights. Just by calling somebody a communist, you were suddenly persona non grata, and if you were a public official, you were probably going to lose the next election.
We live in a world of paranoia.
Well, there's paranoia means a lot of things. Clinically, I don't know that we're clinically diseased with paranoia, but we do have a lot of fear. Public officials fear members of the general public. The general public distrusts members who are officials in government because they don't think they're honest. So there is some mutual fear and a lack of respect all around.
Okay, we're going to take a phone call. We have Greg on the line. Greg?
I want to thank Jim Lang for his position on the Patriot Act. Let me turn this TV down just a little bit. Anyway, pertaining to what your comments were before Jim came on January 2004, we found on the internet that there were 11,000 to 20,000 casualties. The lack of proper information, what has been reported is 1,400 American servicemen. 9,433 were processed to United States Air Base in Rheinstein, Germany, 491 mostly pregnancy related. Our news media is almost non-existent when it comes to the wounded American servicemen being fitted with prostheses, eyes, and limbs. In 2003, the Bush and Blair, riding roughshod over United Nations Security Council, took the West in the genocidal conflict in Iraq, complicit in any case predetermined in the United States some years beforehand. Responding to Tim Loyne on this Patriot Act. The only thing I can figure out is that they don't have a declaration of war signed to go to war. They have to have a declaration of war in order to put in place I can't think of the name of it now.
Police action?
Emergency War Powers
Okay,
Act.
yeah.
Emergency War Powers Act that allows the president to bypass the Constitution of the United States. But we have these people in Washington who take an oath to follow the Constitution. There has to be a declaration of war signed before there can be anything else. They completely violate their oath of office. In order to have a civilized society, we have a constitution, and you notice on TV how they talk about Iraqi's constitution. Well, if it's so important, how come we don't follow our own in our own country? And so that's what's wrong with this whole position. Our State Department's policies, that Iraq has been taken over 4 or 5 times since 1920. This isn't the first time the United States went in and messed up Iraq's country. It's been under attack ever since way back in 1920. So these things are unconstitutional. The oath of office that our elected people take to follow the Constitution, all of them take the oath. That's how important it is. We have state statutes that require the oath of office to be taken. Matter of fact, in Kansas, it's a $20,000 fine if you violate your oath of office. But $20,000 was 100 years ago. They should raise the amount of people who violate their oath. And so we're not going to have a civilized country unless we follow the Constitution that our elected people take an oath to follow. And on the Patriot Act, it's on the House floor. They're debating parts of the sections that Jim Loyne is talking about and whether they're going to leave them in or take them out. But the fact is, it's not supposed to exist. And this is a no-win war. The Vietnam War was a no-win war. There was no declaration of war signed for that one. The Korean War was a no-win war, and there's no declaration of war signed for that one. And these people in Iraq and those countries go to our colleges. They know more about our government than I do. And they know that our